In real life, you're probably familiar with queues, where a queue is a collection of people. In programming, when we talk about a queue, we talk about a collection of objects. So to use queues in Python, you can use a module called q. This is available in Python 3, so make sure you're using Python 3 and not an older version. So Python 3, in this case, I'm using version 3.9.5, which you can check using the command python 3 -- version. To create a new queue, we just say q.queue with a capital. So that creates a new queue, and the queue will contain a collection of objects. Now objects are created from a class, so we'll create a class. It doesn't really matter what the implementation of the class is, just that we can use it to create objects. So let's say we have object 1, object 2, and object 3. And then we can push it into the queue by calling q.put. So we can put object 1, object 2, object 3, and you can put as many objects as you want. Now, if we run the program, you don't see any output because we don't call the print method anywhere. So let's add a method here. Let's say first we add a constructor. In which we set the name of the car, let's say. And then we create a function getName, in which we just output the name. So now we have a class where we can set the name, and we can call the method getName to output the name. I might want to call it showName. So now that we have that, we can actually output something. So here we put the objects in the queue, and we can loop over the queue. So while the queue is not empty, we can get the object. And because we have created a method showName, we can call that. So what it does now is that it goes over the queue that we created, and for every object in the queue, it gets the object and calls the method showName. Now if we run it, see we forgot self here. If we run it, you'll see it goes over the queue, and it calls that method on every item in the queue. Now, of course, you can call as many methods as you want, but this is how you would create a queue. And by calling the put method, you add an object to the queue. Now, objects can also be created on the fly. So you can also do this, where you immediately pass an object like this into the queue. You'll see that works as well. But for simplicity, I'll just put it like this, where we have several objects that we put in the queue, and we iterate over it where we get it using the .get method. So you can use the .get method on the queue to get an object, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So one thing you'll notice is the order of the queue. So let me just add another object here. And run it. You'll see the order is always in the same order that we inserted it. So it's always first in, first out, right? So first we put Volvo in it, which is the first one. Then we put the second one in it. So the order is always the same. You can also create another type of queue called last in first out, or LIFO for short. So you can change queue to LIFO queue, and then the order would be different. So then it starts with the last item and goes in reverse order. So by default it's first in first out. So if you would just have queue that's first in first out, or FIFO. If you want last in first out or LIFO, you specify LIFO queue, and that's the difference just between order. But essentially this is what a queue is, just a collection of objects that you can go over and use. So this is the queue pattern.